When I first heard the term ghost gun, I laughed. I thought they can't possibly be trying to use this term to push for gun control. It's so ridiculous. How could they think that people could be so foolish to let themselves be manipulated by yet another childish nomenclature? Well, it's stuck. Now, don't get me wrong, the term ghost gun is very foolish. The gun grabbers understand that if they repeat it enough, it'll become a valid tool in their push for gun control. Well, there's no such thing as ghost guns. It's only a term created to scare people who don't know any better. But the ghost gun scare tactic is effective at getting people on board and supporting unconstitutional gun restrictions. There are two main falsehoods that are attached to the so-called ghost gun fear campaign. Now, number one is the idea that criminals everywhere are printing these so-called ghost guns at their kitchen tables or building them with illegal parts kits. 3D printing was the first to be blamed for the so-called ghost gun epidemic, which is really nothing more than a media-fueled fantasy. The second lie is that these so-called ghost guns are only being used in crimes. Now here's the Solicitor General, Elizabeth Prelogar, telling you so.
It makes perfect sense because the whole reason why you would want to get your hands on one of these unserialized, untraceable firearms is if you are a prohibited person or you want to use that gun in a crime.
People have been making guns since guns could be made. And contrary to the Solicitor General's scare tactics, the DOJ itself shows that non-serialized guns are used in no more than 115 murders a year, which is less than knives, fists, or hammers. But why do I need to make that distinction? If I want to make a gun, I should be able to make a gun, just like my forefathers did. There's no history or tradition of mandatory firearm serialization. So what's the real reason there's such a push to demonize homemade guns? Well, it's all in the serial number, of course. The ghost gun scare implies that all guns should have a serial number. And if they did, this would somehow magically reduce crime. Well, the truth is, serial numbers lead to registration, and registration leads to, well, you know.
If I could have gotten 51 votes in the Senate of the United States for an outright ban, picking up every one of them, Mr. and Mrs. America, turn them all in, I would have done it.
Is this really about stopping crime, or is this about a government that wants to know about every gun you own and your home address where they can be found? And if a complete national ban on homemade firearms is implemented, how will it stop criminals from simply scratching off the serial number of their stolen gun? Will serialization legislation encourage killers, drug dealers, and Kamala's imported terrorists to start registering their guns? It won't. But the government will know where your guns are. And that's really the goal here. You see, the bad guys have no negative political impact on the wannabe tyrants in D.C. You, however, the law-abiding, tax-paying, voting U.S. citizen, are the one who can make significant change and remind those career politicians who they work for. Kamala Harris knows this, which is why she supports heavy gun restrictions.
Upon being elected, I will give the United States Congress 100 days to get their act together and have the courage to pass reasonable gun safety laws. And if they fail to do it, then I will take executive action.
The Second Amendment doesn't say the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, as long as all guns are serialized so they can be traced to the owner's front door. But don't worry, these are Democrats putting these policies in place, and it's all for your own safety. Thanks for watching Bullet Points. I'm Dan Wos for Gun Owners Foundation. You can find more Second Amendment content and updates at gunowners.com.